Hey,
What are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing? Give me my phone.
What are you doing?
Where are you? Well, I'm right. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Come here.
No.
What's wrong?
Well, what are you doing chasing me
You're
around?
trespassing.
I was walking on public.
No, it's not public. Posted right there. No
Well, I can't over here, though.
Doesn't matter. That's not public.
Okay, well,
you know this is private property.
Well, it's a parking lot.
No, that's private property.
Why are you getting so close?
Because people like you keep turning all this crap into bullshit.
No, I'm doing
and
a true
harassing. No, bullshit. You're harassing everyone.
I'm doing it
You're harassing me and my tenants by being here.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah. What's your name?
We know that by the time the FBI gets involved, the profile, the text file, that's a snip to use to try to identify somebody is more than twice as big when it gets to the FBI from Othram. We don't know how.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Birdie. I go live weeknights at 7 p.m. Central. Welcome to the Hive Mind. This is a contrarian thinking live stream. We think past the headlines. We question the narrative. The chat, the Hive, is a part of this stream. So at any given point, your comment can pop up onto the screen like so. What's up, Hibiscus Girl? And it can completely change the route that we're going on a certain topic of conversation and what we may look into. I get a little bit hesitant, and I have this habit of having to preface that this might make some people upset. When I edit my streams, I self-reflect on that because I say it quite a bit. And I don't know why, because it's not a confidence thing in what I'm saying, but I think it's that there's something surrounding this case. There's this energy surrounding the Idaho 4 case that has been just beaten into the ether that you're not able to question it. And it's not just from the mainstream. But even on the side of what most of us in here believe, being that we've most likely been spoon-fed a BS narrative, there's only a couple certain paths that you're like allowed to go down. And I'm sick of it, quite frankly. It's holding us back. And it's not just to say you can go and start throwing anything and everything at the wall. No, that's not what I'm saying. There's so much information out there when you think that you've read it all to get enough on one theory. There's enough information out there to put together another theory. So how weird is that? That there are multiple theories that you can piece together with documents, with photos. Everybody can have a different interpretation on it, right? There are creators that believe that there's 3, 4, 5 perpetrators. Then there's an expert that says one person might have been able to do this, and I don't think that Kaylee was attacked downstairs. There are major things we don't allow ourselves to question anymore because we feel like they're solidified. And I'm not trying to cause confusion. For example, let me ask you guys this. Who let out Murphy?
We went, or Maddie and went upstairs. I can't remember if Kaylee came down too, but me and Maddie took Murphy out to pee. And I was out there for like 10 seconds and like put something away in my cabinet and then grabbed some chips. And then I went back downstairs to go to bed.
Just Murphy when you got home.
Oh, I let him out. I forgot to add that. He was upstairs and I let him out to go potty real quick.
So you went upstairs?
Yeah, so I guess, I don't know how I forgot about that. Sorry.
That's okay. Whose room was he in?
Kaylee's, because it's mostly Kaylee's dog. So I heard him whining. I was like, okay, I'll go get him. Took him outside for a second. So I know no one was in Kaylee's room. Her lights were on. I know that for sure. Her lights were on. I took Murphy outside and I just kept like looking. Whenever I go outside in the dark, I'm always like looking at my surroundings. Didn't see anything. I know that. Looked around, brought him inside after he like went potty or whatever. And then he was, Lake and him were hanging out a little bit. Then I brought him back upstairs. So, yeah, but I don't know. I forgot about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Bethany said that her, Dylan, and Lakeland took a photo around 1:21 in the morning. And then the girls got home around 2. So, while, yes, I could see letting the dog out if you were home all night and Dylan's letting the dog out. Okay, but within an hour? Even within 2 hours? That seems like a lot. I get maybe it's a puppy, but again, no, everybody but Kaylee let the dog out. Jack at 2:27 a.m., an alleged attack where they lie about a 17-minute phone call, you can apparently hear it. So I want to give my take and I want to see what the Hive says about this audio here, again, from True Crime Forensics.
Jack DeCore, Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, just got caught in the biggest lie in the Idaho 4 case. He lied about a 17-minute phone call between him and Kaylee that started at 2:26 a.m. 17 minutes is exactly the time frame we hear some of the most savage and barbaric sounds on the 1112 King Road security camera footage. We could also hear Jack DeCour's phone ringing right after the infamous 2:27 a.m. scream and right before the female said she got stabbed. Check it out. Right there, 2:27 a.m. and 21 seconds, you could hear phone ring. You could hear what sounds like Jack DeCour saying, "What the fuck?" I'm gonna switch it over to the Sherlock version to remove the noise. The Sherlock version that I did, it removed too much of that cell phone ring, and then I didn't hear it. I had to listen to the original. I'm gonna switch over to here to the Sherlock noise reduction so we can hear the voices better. And we know that that's Jack DeCour's phone ringing because in the paperwork, it says Jack said maybe in his sleep he thought it was an alarm and he pushed the side button of the phone to turn the ringer off. So that right there is Jack DeCour's phone ringing. So that means that he was present during the 2:27 a.m. attack. That cell phone ringing gets cut off because Sherlock gets too aggressive when it removes the sound. You could hear it very faintly in the background, but I was listening to the original after I said, let me see if I could go back and hear Jack DeCour's phone ringing. Lo and behold, I hear Jack DeCour's phone ringing. It seems like there was some kind of struggle over that phone, and the phone just kept playing in the background. Jack DeCour didn't mention this in his police interview. Check it out.
Okay. Do you remember what time you said you went back and checked your phone? Do you kind of remember, like, you said that missed calls from Kaylee? Do you remember what time those came in by chance?
Yeah, they were like between 2:40 and 3. The last one was like 2:57.
He says 2:40 and 3, but he doesn't mention those earlier phone calls and text messages that were at 2:15 about his vape.
One of them was also FaceTime.
How many of them were there?
I think there's 6 from Kaylee and 3 from Maddie. And I don't, like, Maddie, I've known her forever, but she wouldn't just call me unless they needed something. So that was weird to me.
Okay. You said the last one was like 0247, you said something like that?
257.
Jack DeCour was present during this 2:25 a.m. attack when a female says she got stabbed. So now we know Jack's there. So who's the female that got stabbed? From 2:26 a.m. If you add 17 minutes, that gives you Kaylee's ex-boyfriend never ever mentioned a 17-minute phone call during his interrogation. So he was trying to hide something there. But he just got caught in the biggest lie because we could pick up his phone ringing at the crime scene. How heavy is that? And the attack lasted exactly 17 minutes from 2:26 a.m. to 2:43. Is exactly 17 minutes during the attack. So that places Kaylee's ex-boyfriend there at the scene of the crime. So who's the female who said she got stabbed? Because I hear somebody saying that they got stabbed. And I've been saying that for a while. I've been saying that for a while now, that somebody said that they got stabbed. And that's why I said I challenge anybody in the audio field. Let me know what's being said over here. Right there. He stabbed me. Oh my God, he stabbed me. So that place is Jack the Core at the crime scene, possibly stabbing an ex-girlfriend. This is heavy, people. This is extremely heavy shit. But let me know what you think. If you think that's a cell phone, because it seems like a cell phone to me.
I don't know if that's a cell phone. Like it doesn't sound like at least to my ears, it doesn't sound like a cell phone ringtone, but I do hear the voices and I hear the screams and I hear everything else. The phone though, it almost, if anything, it kind of sounds like an alarm. Here is an interview that I want everybody to watch. And I like to go through this and show this just to spark people's memories as to what was initially being said, that everybody at one point or another thought this was extremely odd.
You know, was this a targeted attack and why do they think so? They didn't really give you an answer, but I'm sure you kind of gleaned something as a former homicide detective yourself. What do you think the answer is there, Ted?
Well, you know, John, it is certainly suspect that they didn't give us an answer. I believe that when they got on the scene that there was something that led to the indication that this was, in fact, these were targeted killings. But, John, there was some nuggets that came out that I found shocking in this investigation that we learned today. And that is that the two surviving roommates, that one of them made the 911 call. But before they made that call and before law enforcement arrived on the scene, that there were other individuals on that scene. Law enforcement didn't tell us who those other individuals were, but you have to believe that that could lead and could have led to the contamination of that investigation. That I find very troubling. And there was something else that law enforcement shared with us, that the chief of the Moscow Police Department said that he was unaware at this stage in the investigation of what the 911 callers could, where they were, when they were at certain locations, when they found the bodies. It seems as though he didn't know any of that. I found that shocking that at this stage, or at least a week out, that you wouldn't know this kind of information.
Interesting, too, that it was initially reported as an unconscious individual. One would think that, you know, if the roommate walked out of her room, there had to be, you know, just blood everywhere, I would think, after, you know, a quadruple homicide like this. Interesting that they call it, or that it was reported as an unconscious individual.
Well, you know, let's use common sense here. If you saw someone that you believe was unconscious on the floor, the immediate thing you would do is to go down to that person and see if they were in fact unconscious. So this is very troubling that we're getting bits and pieces that initially they didn't even want to tell us who made the 911 call. And then we now have to wonder what other individuals were there before the police arrived, and how those individuals very well could have contaminated the crime scene. This is a very troubling investigation at this stage, I can tell you.
Yeah, well, it's possible that the friends who came to the house were calling the cell phones of the deceased and they weren't answering, so they said, hey, you know, they're unconscious or whatever. But
I'm not trying to laugh.
As you say,
I mean, this guy can't even hold a straight face. He can't. He's beside himself. I mean, watch this nonverbal of the dude on the left. This guy's like, or whatever.
They said, hey, you know, they're unconscious or whatever. But a lot of questions.
We're kind of boxed in from a mainstream talking point of here's what we're allowed to say, here's what we're not. There's this energy around the case where if you kind of go off the beaten path from the mainstream, a lot of people will initially kind of come at you. And then let's say you find this crowd that likes to keep an open mind, and understand how the media works, how narratives work, how cover-ups work, what are the motives for that. Even in this community, you can only stray so far. Clearly, there's either pieces of the puzzle missing, or there are pieces of the puzzle that have been completely flipped and reversed so that they don't make sense. I really believe that. You can hear everything else and you can see all the cars, but nobody knows who the killer is. So anyways, this is first person down on the ground. Obviously, shortly after, you can see all this stuff still out there. Look on the left side of the driveway here, okay? Right here. That car, that caught my eye. Why? What is that car? That's an old car with dark tinted windows that is white, that is inside the crime scene tape. And the only other car inside of it at that point is a cop car. So there's a security car. Then there's this car. So I'm not sure why they have that. This is about how Hippler has a connection to 1122 King Road.
When I say I'm invested in the Idaho 4 Brian Koberger case, this is what I mean. So first, we're going to start with the 1122 King Road property, which is owned by 1122 King LLC, which is then owned by Dan Esty and Scott Perky. Dan Esty also owns 1118 King LLC and 1112 King LLC. So when these were filed, they are showing that they had a registered agent of Braxton Kerwin. And Braxton Kerwin purchased University City, which was renamed White Pine Property Management, which was owned by a Michael Osterholz and a Matthew Becker. This is important to know because this business, White Pine Property, went out of business and there was missing money from properties that they managed. It's also important to know that 1126 King had a special warranty deed with Eagle Investment Group, which allowed them to do basically a parking easement agreement to allow properties to share and access their driveways. What's important is in 2022, just 1 month, almost 1 month after the unaliving, the registered agent is changed to Team Idaho Real Estate Inc. Until 12/8/2022, and it changes to Givens Pursley. Along with this special warranty deed, 1122 King LLC was eventually sold to Eagle Investment Groups on July 25th, 2023, and recorded by none other than Julie Fry, who is married to the chief of police in Moscow, Idaho. He has been the chief of police since 2016, but she was just elected as the Latah County Recorder in November 2022. Back to Givens and Pursley. So why this is important is Givens Pursley Corp LLC was the registered business agent of all three of the King Road LLCs. And Franklin Lee was a partner there. And he is actually the one that signed over the University of Idaho to the King Road house. They signed, he is the one that signed over to donate it. So Allison Barry Ochoa worked at Givens Pursley from 2002 to 2014. Her son, David Barry Ochoa, was in Sigma Chi with Ethan. But ironically, guess who also worked at Givens Pursley from 2002 to 2013? Ada County Judge Stephen Hippler. He was a partner there. So it's interesting to me that all of these connect back to the King Road house. And I'm also interested to pursue this further about the missing money from Michael Osterholz.
How wild is that? I mean, that video truly does sum up just how crazy and how deep some of the ties go with Moscow. Mary Jane, how are you doing?
I think that there's a layer that a lot of folks don't really include in this, because when you think of frats and sororities, you're thinking a bunch of young, dumb kids. You don't think of the organizational hierarchy that exists within the skull and bones of fraternities and sororities. And I'm talking the legacy. So prior I had mentioned, families generationally that have a vested interest in that cover up. Well, just recently, I think I wish I could remember, it might have been Pavarotti, a video where they were showing a breakdown of who owned 1122 King Road and what happened within weeks after the unalivings there, and specifically the legal transfer of property over that specific location. And I think it goes back again to negligence and liability, the contract with Moscow Police Department to provide security, the houses that are and are not owned by chapter houses, but that may be owned by chapter house legacy members, including judges, detectives and members of the Quad City Drug Task Force, which is Pullman, Moscow, Lewiston, and Clarkston. So this Quad City Drug Task Force has been wrapped up in a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a murder that just happened in Moscow with a University of Idaho student just within the last 6 months that is kind of being swept under the rug. It's like it was a suicide of an emotionally disturbed young Native American kid. That's the third unsolved Native American student attending at the University of Idaho. So this institution actually also sits as a land grant institution on the ancestral homelands of the Nez Perce people. So it is in a very weird and complicated legal situation as a land grant institution, just like Washington State University. I say all of this to say that this Quad City Drug Task Force does stings. They do interagency cooperations and work. So this is going to continue to be jurisdictionally messy because they orchestrated it that way on purpose when they formed this coalition of task force of 3 different states, all of the agencies, including college campuses. I already know that there's more to this than meets the eye. And I know that people are like, it goes back to the Nick Mowich situation, and people can, put any, kind of, thought into that. It's not just me being Mary Jane and, working in the cannabis industry and doing, like this is, I think if anything that allows me the opportunity to have another level of thinking, thought, and reflection. But in the theory at the end of the day is there are very educated, deep money people that have a vested interest in the drug cover up of this. And I know that in my gut. I can feel it. And I appreciate the caller earlier saying, like my family thinks I'm crazy. My son is in one of the frats at the University of Idaho. Trust me, I am not popular with some of my thoughts and theories. My husband thinks I'm a little bit crazy. He thinks that the Hive and people of the Hive mind have and could be spending their time and effort in a better, more positive direction in light of the current political and global unrest that we're in. But he also doesn't understand that this is a part of that sweater that is really fucking pretty. But if you pull on that one thread, it unravels the whole sweater. It really, really does. So I see why a lot of these parties have a vested interest in saying, just leave that thread alone, stop pulling on it. You're going to undo the whole goddamn sweater. And that's it.
So don't go anywhere. First of all,
okay.
Just unbelievable, very well laid out. That's one of my favorite things when people call in, when they lay out their theory, there's emotion in it, like what you just had. And I think you were spot on that. I do have a couple of questions for you if you have a minute still, but great job laying that out. And do you have a minute still?
I do.
Okay. Can you go back to, because I'm familiar with what they did after the murders with the house and legally exchanging ownership and the donation and things like that. What I want you to talk about, and if you could, can you break down the task force dynamic of that, where legacy members, and then you had talked about the Quad City task force part. Can you go back to that?
The Quad City task force itself, I think, is worthy of more data and analysis from the Hive itself, at looking who some of the agency key heads are, the universities that they graduate from, and their affiliations with these specific fraternities at the University of Idaho and Washington State University and some of the other surrounding universities. Because as I mentioned earlier, the local campus chapter is one thing, but they have this weird brotherhood to a larger chapter, a national chapter that is very more deep rooted. I mean, that's how one of the Washington State University fraternities lost their status in 2008 because of intensive Quad City Drug Task Force investigation, specifically around the pervasive drug use culture of that university, where they were allowing non-university students that were in cocaine and other drug trafficking. And so I think it's cute when everybody talks about like, oh yeah, we were just buying drugs from, or we would borrow drugs from our friends. No, this is more about the fentanyl trade more than it is about like students, having a bump of Adderall to get through a difficult exam.
So to respond to that, I agree when it comes to the way that the police ask about the Adderall or the blow. I feel like in that situation, when they say, we're not here to get people on that, it does sound genuine when the cop says it in all of the interviews with the frat boys, if you've listened to them, where it does seem like they're trying to get to a bigger fish, or they're trying to get to a bigger issue that may have caused it. Hence, who is Ethan connected to? Does he have, he's got these buckets of people. And is there any bucket that maybe they hang out with that you've heard about, but you don't know? And so that's a good point. The last thing that I'd like you to touch on again, specifically though, is when you said the housing and the task force with the Nez Pierce aspect of it. It was kind of midway through your call. You talked about how some of the ownership with that task force and the housing. Is that ringing a bell?
That to me is, no, it's just, at the end of the day, even the University of Idaho is a land grant. Like it's kind of a legal fallacy. There's a specific treaty that's in place that has completely been railroaded to create this land grant institution before the state of Idaho was even created. So, you think about how these local county land title agencies, which are, like Mark Fry's wife, the chief of police, she signed off on this transfer after the unalivings in 2022. So there's this weird connection with locals always having their hands in the cookie jar. And for me, I just kind of take the 30,000 square foot view out, and like none of them at the end of the day can prove clear legal title to this land because of its original, the way that it was stolen from my people. And I'll just disclose that I am a member of the tribe. But it goes back to my tribal law enforcement also being a part of this Quad City Drug Task Force. They talk about it being Quad City Drug Task Force, but there are other agencies involved that complicate it and bring in the FBI, the DEA, and the tribal jurisdictions, because that is the home base for most of these drug dealers. Very similar to what's happening with the conversation with the Aryan nations and how they come into play. This is just people taking their gang politics inside of a prison, which includes a lot of the guards and a lot of the shot callers that make things happen inside of the prison that work outside. I used to serve on the Idaho Criminal Justice Commission as an ad hoc member. I used to be the director of Indian education for the state of Idaho. And through that role, I sat in on Idaho Criminal Justice Commission meetings. This is the Idaho State Police Chief, the Chief Supreme Court Judge for the Idaho Supreme Court, the chairman of the Idaho Sheriff's Association, all of these major interagency players. And their only role from meeting to meeting is CYA, how to keep sued, running private prisons as an agency that funds the private prisons, knowing that we have these problems inside of the prisons. I've had the chance to tour the prison that Brian is in. I've toured it. So I hear some of the talk about he's not going to Gen Pop until at least 5 years. He has no interaction. So people saying that they see him, hear him doing these things, yes, I've talked to people that were incarcerated while Brian was incarcerated in Max, specifically to talk about the landscape of the politics inside of the prisons now. And they were like, no, that's like some bullshit. Like just on Easter Sunday, I was talking with a ex-felon that is in a halfway house that just got out of Idaho Max.
Wow. And okay, so now, and I know that I'm taking up a lot of time with this call on your end, Mary Jane, but then also for the couple people backstage. So I apologize, but I want to take this opportunity to ask as many questions as you'll answer and that you have time for. So now, given all of that, I'd be remiss to not ask you, what do you believe happened November 12th or November 13th, and when all this happened, when all this had gone down?
I think it goes back to the Xana's mom and her role as an informant has a lot more to do with this. I don't believe that the kids were naive in their roles in the lucrative business of running rugs through the houses, and their chapter folks look the other way. And I just think that it was a situation of a couple of people being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I do believe that the Nick Mowich connection is connected to this situation in regards to um, key players and actors. And I had a cousin that was murdered on the Nez Perce Reservation in 2008. And I've never seen such a quick FBI investigation for a murder that was conducted by a convicted felon. It was almost like they were expediting an experiment on how quick you can clean up a crime scene. I felt that same gut check emotion when this happened. Um, so I do not. I mean, I've seen it happen in real time. Like if somebody is shot while they're lying down, then there's a certain angle of blood spatter. There was no blood spatter in the crime scene when my cousin was murdered. I know this because my family showed up on site to clean up and do a spiritual ceremonial song when this happened, and the FBI allowed produce drivers to deliver groceries in the grocery store where my cousin was murdered in Sites, Idaho in 2009. So I already know that the FBI is really, really, really dirty. And if we trace their legacy connections to any one of these sororities or fraternities, we would find connections. The dots would absolutely be connected to their connections to these institutions and to these chapter houses.
Wow. And I am very sorry for the loss of your cousin's life. And that is just what a call in, Mary Jane. So thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing all that. I can't wait to go back and listen again to what you just said and what you laid out. Please, the next time that I do a call in, do not hesitate to buzz back on up here. Okay.
Yeah, and I also let you know, like I'm here in Lewiston, and I'm actually I served as a local on the ground advisor for Olivia when she was kind of doing her local
Olivia
exploration
G?
because not Olivia G, TikTok Olivia.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it was primarily because of the hostility that she had been facing. And during that time, I had actually had an alternative theory that if Brian had done this and he was stargazing, I knew that location and I had never seen anybody take a drive down there to show her exactly how expansive the back road was on the stargazing trail. So I took her to where Brian allegedly went stargazing so that she could see it herself, and then drove her to Kate's Coffee Shop, to Albertsons in Clarkston, Washington, and took her around the landscape, basically what would have been the 360 perimeter of the landscape of where Brian would have allegedly traveled, if that were the theory.
Mary Jane, if I ever go out to Idaho to do some on the ground reporting, I'm hitting you up, and I'd love to go on that same route if you'd be down. Because
Please do. I would totally be down. This is my homelands. My people have been here for over 16,000 years, and like I said, there's been other unsolved murders of many people, and I felt like, again, it's gross to me that so much resources, not the attention, they deserve the attention, but the resources that were aligned for the cover up is really what chops my hide, when knowing that just recently Joseph Bonahal was murdered on the university in Moscow, and there's some weird scenario around this case, and it is just basically put in the basket as suicide.
That's crazy. I don't even really know what to say. I mean, you just laid it all out there as far as just the history of this, the area with the drugs and the connections. I love that you brought up not just the college-aged kids frat, but the organization as a whole. I think that goes over a lot of people's heads, knowing how high up the ex-members can be, and how that's not just like, hey, you graduate college and you're done.
Oh yeah, no, we got Supreme Court judges that have chapter legacy from sororities and fraternities across the nation.
No, it's unbelievable. And like I said, you get the GOAT award for that call in, Mary Jane. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Absolutely. Thanks, Birdie.
Yep.
Thanks, Hive.
Cheers. Casey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. I have a question on the Corner Club video at 1:15.
Okay.
Maddie I think she's talking to Adam. And all of a sudden Adam takes off and he goes and touches the back of the big guy at the grub truck. He touches his back. They go to the back of the Corner Club, and Jack Showalter was there too, I believe. And when they come back, Jack flips Maddie off. And then Adam doesn't even say anything when he's walking by. So I'm just wondering, like, could that be when, she told Adam because he kind of acts, you know, a little pissy when he's walking away.
Well, I'll pull
So,
it up right here. Let's see. You said
okay.
115. Is it going to happen kind of down to the bottom right?
Yes,
Okay. So you believe that this is Adam?
I believe it is, but I'm not sure. And I think that guy in the white is Jack Showalter. And then she brings him in, you know, and he's kind of like, well,
Yeah. And then you're going to say, so then,
and
does
then
anybody
what?
know? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
didn't mean to.
wait, did she just kiss? Did she just kiss
It
him?
looked like it. I don't know if she kissed him or whispered something to him.
What?
And then Adam will take off and he touches that big guy back in the back. And then they all go to the back and have a meeting. So I don't know if that's when Maddie told Adam something.
Hang on. I've never noticed this beginning part with this.
Hmm.
Hang on.
Okay.
Is that a, did she kiss both of them?
It's either like whispering, like, you know, I don't know. It looks like more of a whisper, but I
That looks
don't
like a
know.
whisper.
And then if that's Adam, he'll leave her and go tap on the other guy, and then they all go to the back. And then when Jack comes back, he flips Maddie off. Like
This
in
Jack?
a joke. In the white?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he goes to the
See
back.
now, okay. Adam just tapped that guy on the back.
Where are they going?
Yeah. And then when he comes back, he flips her off. Like, yeah, it's jokingly, but you know.
Because they're totally, whatever was just exchanged with words there, the conversation got done, and then Adam, or right, whoever the guy in the black is, clearly was going to seek somebody out to, at least that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and it's weird that he touches the back of that big guy too. That was at the grub truck.
Yeah.
And he went back there. Like, he don't even work there. So, you know.
I would love to have the audio for this.
Me too. But the body language, like.
Go ahead, sorry. The body language is telling. Wasn't there an unredacted version of this, or am I tripping? I thought there was at one point.
And watch, he'll touch.
Okay.
And then they all go to the back.
That's interesting.
And I don't know how long they're in the back for. A couple of minutes, not long. And then Adam doesn't say anything to the girls, or if that's Adam, I'm not 100%, but he doesn't say anything to him when he walks back, and then Jack walks up and flips him off. But I don't know.
Fast forwarding it. Do they come from behind the bar? Or do they? Oh, here he is, right there. Nope. Is that him?
They come from the back.
Yeah. So he didn't say anything to them right there. If that's Adam, maybe that's a different dude. These damn blurs.
I know.
All right.
And then you can't see where they're walking in the back either, you know. That's all blurred out. And is that the last time on camera she speaks to Adam?
It seems like, oh, wait. Okay. So now he comes back. I believe so. So now he's coming back. They were gone for probably 4 minutes. Oh, he flips her off. Yep. This seems like a joking middle finger.
Yeah, but they say when somebody jokes, there's some truth into it.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't disagree.
And then when Adam comes by, he don't even, if it's Adam. That just bothered me. And then with the guy from the grub truck going, you know, like, why would he go? He don't work there. You know, I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah, that is weird. So that's a great, thank you, Casey. I appreciate you pointing that out. This is some other footage too that I got to spend some more time looking at than I have. So thank you for the call. I appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening.
You too. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You have a good one. Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye.
This is Gray Hughes getting damn near bum rushed off of the Little Lane car park cameras. This must have been right at the beginning, and this dude comes out hot.
Oh, there it is.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Give me my phone.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm wide up. What are you doing?
Come here.
No.
What's wrong?
Well, what are you doing?
You're trespassing.
I was walking in public.
No, it's not public. Posted right there.
No, I can't over here though.
Doesn't matter. Hey, what are you doing?
What
are you doing? What are you doing?
Give me my phone.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm wide up.
What are you doing? Come here.
No.
What's wrong?
Well, what are you doing?
You're trespassing.
I was walking in public.
No, it's not public.
Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.